It was as though the entire entertainment industry came to a halt when the news about Carol Wayne's passing was publicized. The actress, who had made a name for herself through her popular role as matinee lady on Johnny Carson's Tonight Show, was a vibrant TV sensation in the 1960s and beyond. Absolutely no one saw her death coming. Carol's fate left many with questions about her personal life and the circumstances that led to her demise. From her painful journey to fame to the unresolved mystery of her death, this is the side of Carol Wayne's life that very few people know about, the high price of Carol's early career. Some of the most famous stars who have made waves in the entertainment industry didn't come from wealthy backgrounds. They had to spend years toiling and pouring into their craft before getting their big break. Carol Wayne's story was not very different, but her journey to fame began when she was only 3 years old. Most people who knew about Carol Wayne during the peak years of her career didn't know the story of how she got there. For someone who was bubbly and bright on TV, Carol actually endured a pretty tough childhood. At the age of 3, her mother pushed her to join a ballet school, and at the age of 6, she and her sister Nina were actively learning how to skate. But this was no fun experience for them, especially because of how rigorous the training sessions were. They were required to wake up every day by 5 a.m. to skate for 3 hours, and their practice continued for at least 5 hours after school. Carol and her sister were choked with activities, and they barely had any free time to enjoy the joys of childhood. When Carol was not in school, she was taking dance classes, skating classes, and doing several other activities. These put a lot of pressure on her at such a young age. While the other kids were playing and making memories with their families, Carol was busy perfecting her skating skills. At that point, it seemed like that was the price she had to pay for success. When she was asked about her childhood in a later interview, she uttered these words, "We missed a childhood of growing up." Thankfully, after several grueling years of training non-stop, Carol and her sister finally got what seemed to be a life-changing opportunity, but it came at a cost that they had to pay. She made an unconventional choice. It is often difficult to tell if a particular famous person finished school or not. When success comes knocking, no one really pays attention to the degrees and certificates anymore. This was the case for Carol Wayne, who later went on to become a well-known comedian. What a lot of her fans didn't know was that she had to sacrifice her education for her career. Because Carol was already pursuing a skating career in her teen years, other aspects of her life suffered greatly. She tried to juggle over 8 hours of training with schoolwork, but it didn't work, and everything changed when she was presented with an opportunity. Ice Capades had made a move to hire her and her sister for a tour, and that seemed like the beginning of her success as a skater. At the time, the Ice Capades were popularly known as traveling entertainment shows that particularly featured ice skating performances in a theatrical style. This was a huge opportunity for the Wayne sisters because it would allow them to not only showcase their skills in different towns and cities, but also enable them to garner fame. As a result of this, they dropped out of school in order to focus on their career, and it seemed like Carol was finally enjoying the fruits of her labor, but fate had other plans. While Carol and her sister were having the time of their lives on tour, something unexpected happened. Carol had a terrible skating accident that left her knee in a bad condition. The injury was so bad that she had to stop working and focus on recovery. By the time she had fully recovered, there was no place for her anymore. She practically lost her entire career, and there was nothing she could do about it. She and her sister were left in the cold with no career and no potential opportunities in view. In a later interview, Carol described this period of her life as a challenging one for her and her sister. In her words, "We were two pretty girls with no education. There was nothing else to do." More than a sex symbol. As you know, Carol's journey to fame was not an easy one. From the sacrifices she made earlier on in her life to the losses that she endured, Carol was met with setbacks on her journey, but she was determined to succeed in the entertainment industry. It seemed like her hard work finally paid off when she got a chance to appear alongside Johnny Carson on The Tonight Show. During her time on the show, Carol made a lasting impression and quickly became a household name. On the surface, it seemed like Carol was focused on using her body to get attention, but what a lot of viewers didn't know was that she wanted to be seen as more than just a sex symbol. Carol worked tirelessly behind the scenes to hone her acting skills in order to get better roles, and she wanted to be appreciated for more than just her physical features. After appearing in over 100 sketches on the show, Carol was laid off from The Tonight Show, and that was the beginning of her career decline. It seemed like all her efforts to improve her career were not working out. She kept losing job after job, the alleged role her son played in her struggle with addiction. While Carol Wayne was going through difficult times, she desperately searched for an escape from her troubles. Her son, who was attending Beverly Hills High School at the time, allegedly thought it wise to introduce her to clove cigarettes. What started off with a single stick quickly morphed into an addiction as Carol found herself smoking profusely and indulging in other vices. Things got so bad the actress found herself filing for bankruptcy. The addiction took over her and she became a shadow of herself. Her career spiraled downward, and it seemed like things were only getting worse for the actress. The alleged role her son played in her addiction is indeed surprising. The unsolved mystery of her demise. Of all the unsolved mysteries in Hollywood, Carol Wayne's death remains one of the most shocking. She had traveled for a vacation with her friend Edward Durston, and she was set to have a good time. According to the reports, she was staying with him at the Las Hadas Hotel, and from the look of things, they seemed to be having fun, but things got ugly pretty fast. On the day they were supposed to leave, they allegedly got into a disagreement that caused a delay in their departure. According to the reports from the hotel workers, Carol left angrily, and Edward allegedly booked another hotel. The next day, he was headed to the airport to travel back home. But before he left, he dropped her luggage at the airport and instructed the officials that she was coming to pick them up. It was on the 14th of January by 2 p.m. that her body was found off the coast of a resort in Mexico. On the surface, it looked like she had drowned, but no one knew when or how. In a bid to dig deep and find out what happened to her, an autopsy was carried out, and there were no drugs in her system. According to the autopsy report, she had been lifeless for over 2 days. One thing was for sure, the circumstances surrounding her death were not very clear. Some thought she took her own life, while others suspected that someone may have ended her life. Her family members and fans were left with so many questions that have remained unanswered since the 1980s. It's been decades since her death, and this mystery remains unsolved. Carol Wayne's death was indeed tragic, but she is remembered today for the life she lived and the people she inspired along the way. Hollywood certainly has its excesses, and Catherine Zeta-Jones's daughter, Karis, is determined to follow her mother's footsteps through it all. This video will give you an insight into Karis's life and what sets her apart from other celebrity kids.